welcome to the 50th episode of the Cheer Up Podcast. Yay!
Woo-hoo!
Okay. So, yay for us. So, for those of you who are listening, we just want to say Happy New Year. Welcome into the new year. Blessings for the new year. We pray everyone's having a great start and lots of joy into the new year. And we just want to say yay and hello to everyone out there. And hello to 2022. And I'm Kara Hunt, the host of the Cheer Up Podcast. And with me, as always, is the lovely, beautiful, awesome Sherry Swalwell. How are you, Sherry? How's this year going so far for you?
Happy New Year, Kara. And, I loved how you started the podcast. I loved how you said welcome. And I want to add my welcome to all of the new listeners that we're going to get in 2022. I want to thank you for those who are faithfully listening in 2021. And wow, what a great day to be alive. What a great year to be alive, right? Blessed to be alive 2022.
Hashtag BTBA, right?
That's right. Hey, maybe we should do hashtag BTBA22 too.
Oh, yes. Wouldn't that be interesting? Yes. It'd be easier. Yes, actually. 22 for 22, everyone.
Could we be like the teenagers and put like the 2 and the 2 and then do our like selfie? Like, how cool would that be?
Oh, wouldn't that be fun? Yeah, my first selfie of 2022.
I'll have to ask the teenagers if that's cool or not for older women to do. Middle
Oh,
age.
yeah, right. Because so many times they're like, what? So you're right. We better check with the experts, right?
Exactly.
In that genre.
Exactly.
Well, once again, welcome to all of our new listeners. Welcome to season 2 of the Cheer Up Podcast. Welcome to our 50th episode. And again, like Sherry said, we just can't thank you guys enough for all of our faithful listeners in 2021 who tune in every Wednesday for new episodes or who tune in weekly to listen to our episodes, who have downloaded them and subscribed to them. Thank you. And thank you to all of those who have and that continue to share them and to share the episodes. So if you're a new listener, just want to let you know we're available on all podcast platforms or wherever you listen to podcasts, your Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all of those places. We're also on Audible. If you listen to Audible books and, you just can say, look for Cheer Up Podcast, we're there. All of these different places, we're there. So wherever you want to look, just find us. Please feel free to subscribe and download. And if you like the episodes, please leave a comment so we will know who you are, recognize you, and sometimes, maybe we'll be able to give a shout out to a few of you as well. So again, we're on all the major platforms, including Twitter and Instagram. So again, just download, subscribe, and that way when you subscribe, you'll be able to get a notification every week that we are up, that a new episode is available. And they're always available on Wednesday mornings. So, and again, this is our 50th episode, and it is the beginning of a new season for the Cheer Up Podcast, and it is the beginning of the new year. And so what a better topic to start off 2021 with. Excuse me. See there, Sherry? I'm still saying 2021.
Oh, no, it's okay, Kara. It's okay because everyone gets that like mid-month grace period. Everybody.
That grace period, right?
Right. I shouldn't say nobody remembers to write the new year, but I myself need that 15-day grace period to remember that it's now 2022 instead of 2021. So no worries.
Instead of 20.
No worries.
That's right. Remember grace period, everyone. We get that because we tend to type it out, write it out, and do everything and say it like I just did, forgetting that we have to add a different number to it. So, but what a better way to start off a new season, a 50th episode, a new chapter in the Cheer Up Podcast, and season 2, and the beginning of a new year than with the topic of God first. I absolutely love starting off the new year with God first. And I am so glad and blessed that we're able to do this topic today. How about you, Sherry?
Oh, you don't know. I'm just like you. I absolutely um love starting my year with God, love starting the new podcast year with God. I love, yes, the topic of God. Whenever we can put him first, everything else then falls into place. Have you ever heard that story or that analogy or whatever you want to call it about I know a lot of youth pastors use it and a lot of pastors in churches use it. And sometimes, like our pastor, I think, if I'm remembering right, a couple years ago, he actually did it visually so that we could see it too. But there's a story out there, or whatever you want to call it, that you take this glass jar and you fill it. And if you fill it, you have rocks, well, big boulders, you have small pebbles, and you have sand. And if you don't put things into the glass jar in the right order, they don't all fit. But if you put the rocks in first, the big boulders, the big rocks, then you put in the pebbles, and then you fill in the rest with the sand, it all fits perfectly. And that, I think, is a great analogy and a great way to start our topic today of the boulders are God, the pebbles are our family, and the sand is everything else. And when we keep that priority, when we keep that balance, everything fits well. Not to say that you don't have chaotic days or chaotic seasons, but it sure fits a lot better than if we put God at the end as an afterthought or our family at the end as an afterthought. And I know I myself, I feel like life is a constant juggling act, and I do so much better when I remember to fill up with God, to make sure that my family knows they're my priority under him, and then everything else fits into place so much better.
And that is so true. And and I think that as we journey along on our Christian journey, at first it seems kind of hard, right? Because
Yeah.
we're sons and daughters of Adam and Eve, right? So all of us, Christian and non-Christian, it doesn't matter. We're all sons and daughters of God, and descendants of Adam and Eve, I should say. But it's and because of that and the sin nature, we tend to be very selfish and very self-centered. And it's easy to get ready to make a decision and we don't consult God first because we're just so used to just wanting to do what we want to do,
Or we feel like we don't have enough time. We feel like we have to hurry and make this decision.
Exactly. Like we have to hurry. Everything has to be done right now, right then. And we're just not really considering how to consider God first and all and everything, and or even being mindful of it. It's what's coming to mind to me now is like a toddler, right? Or even babies. We cater to all of their needs, right? Before they can walk and before they can talk. And that's fine because they really have no choice, right? But once they start having a choice and they can walk and toddle along and they can start saying words, we start having to guide them, right? Because if we didn't, they would run towards a hot stove. They will pick up a hot iron. They will tumble down flights of stairs. They will put things in their mouth, right? They don't know that those things are not safe to do. They will stick scissors or toys into electrical outlets, and they're not doing it because they want to get electrocuted. They're just like, oh, this looks fun. This looks curious. Oh, this looks interesting. I'll just put it in my mouth. It's a marble and, they choke on it. But see, they don't know that. They don't know that because they don't know because they haven't lived long enough. All they know is that it's new, that it's shiny, that it's pretty, that it looks good, and they want to try it out. And a lot of times I feel like we have that view as Christians. We see all these different things going along in culture and it looks new and it looks shiny and you don't really see anything wrong with it. You really don't put too much thought into it. Maybe because you just don't have, like a toddler, you just don't have any experience knowing that swallowing that marble is going to cause you to choke. And you try out all these different things and then you're like, wow, I just got electrocuted. Like, how did that happen? And I just really think that when you have enough of those experiences in life as you grow spiritually, and you become more spiritually mature and more intimate walk with God, you start realizing that I can't do life alone. I don't even want to do life alone. God, I need you. I need your Holy Spirit. I need you to guide me in everything I do and everywhere I go, in the people that I meet, in the circumstances I find myself in. And on the onset, that sounds kind of tedious, but it's really not. You know, it's just as simple as you could go in your car to get ready to go to work in the morning. It's just putting God first, saying a prayer, just thanking Him that you have a car, you know, thanking Him that you have a job, asking and praying that you get there safely. Does any of that make sense to you, Sherry?
It's beautiful. I love the visual that you're creating, and I have to say, I love the way that you started with the baby and the toddler. I feel like at the end or middle to the end of 2021, I feel like I was really struggling. I was having a faith struggle, a faith journey, a faith growth episode, or what, a stage, or whatever you want to call it. And so it was sometimes in life as Christians, I think that putting God first and surrendering our will, which is basically just saying putting God first, or a fancy way of saying putting God first, it comes really easy because you're on top of the mountain and you just see all these blessings around you and life feels really good. And so it just comes really easy. And then there are other times you might not necessarily be in a valley, or you might be in a valley of your own making, or you might be in a valley that you had no part in creating, and it's just harder. Or like Kara said, you're a new Christian, a new believer, and you've never experienced, or you haven't really experienced the mountaintop high. And so you don't really know what goal you're striving for, why you're doing what you're doing. And so I want to encourage everybody, regardless of what stage you're in as a believer, as a Christ follower, that when I was going through my growth process in 2021, I had to continue the practices that I did in the past joyfully. I had to do them obediently. There's a difference between the two, but they both will bring you to the same result. If you choose, like Kara was saying, if you choose to put God first, whether you feel it or you don't feel it, it will, as a Christ follower, you will start to hunger for it. You will start to desire it. You will start to get that excitement. Just like somebody said this, I am not a runner, so I apologize for those who love to run. I wish I loved to run. Maybe the fact that I have asthma right now makes it so that I kind of hate to run. But and I say asthma right now because I'm working on getting rid of my asthma. So we'll put it that way. But anyway, this isn't about my asthma. But they say that people who love to run didn't necessarily start out loving to run. They had to be obedient. They had to do one foot in front of the other. They had to get up in the snow. They had to get up in the rain. They had to get up when they were tired. They had to get up when they didn't feel good. And then eventually they loved it. They got up because they wanted to. They got up to see to crave that solitude when you're running by yourself. And then the endorphins come in and all that stuff too. Well, it's the same thing with our spiritual growth. When we choose to put God first, it might be an act of obedience at the beginning, but when you do it day after day after day, multiple times a day, when you choose to put Him first, you will develop that hunger. You will develop that desire to where you want to ask His opinion. You want to know. You want His wisdom when you make decisions. And you'll find that, there aren't very many decisions that you have to make that are spot on, unless your kid's running out into the street and they're going to get hit by a car. That you need to move right away. And I really don't think you have to ask God except to say, Jesus, save him. You don't need to say, hey,
Right.
God, do you think I can go out to the road and save my child? But most decisions don't have to be made in an instant. In fact, just this morning, I was on Instagram And I have been praying about a specific area of my life that I need God's intervention. And I saw what looked like a really great deal that would possibly help me achieve this goal in my life to overcome this issue that I'm dealing with. And I saw this advertisement and I'm like, oh, I should do it. It's not that expensive. Here's the cure-all, end-all. This will help, blah, blah, blah. And I almost hit send. And then I said, wait a minute. And I stopped and I prayed and I said, God, I said, I can do this or I can do something else. I want your wisdom before I push the trigger. I want it. This price tag is not going to break the bank. I have the money for it, so that's not an issue. But if this is not your will for me, if you have a different plan, if I'm going outside your will because I'm trying to find an easy, quick fix, or because, this isn't what you have something better, I want your will. So will you show me, do you want me to do A or do you want me to do B? And I felt so much peace after I did that. Whereas I know that if I had filled out the information, paid for it, I would have felt guilty. Not because it was necessarily a bad choice, but because I didn't invite God into it. But I know when I invite God into all of my decisions, then when I have that yes or I have that no, then I know that it's the right one. And there's a peace that follows it.
Yes, and that is such I love that example that you gave, and it's how can I put it? It's more along the lines of, like you say, it wouldn't have been bad if you did it.
Right.
But
there was nothing illegal about it.
No, there was nothing illegal about it. It wasn't going to be a financial hardship, and so people are like, well, why would she even care? Why, this is a big world. God has a lot of things to take care of, But here's the thing. One, God, having a personal relationship with Christ is just that. It's personal. It is personal. So even though there's a big world with who knows how many billions of people in it, He still can attend to each and every last one of our needs and or questions and situations that Sherry just had this morning. And
not only can he, Kara, sorry to interject, but He wants to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that is so key. Okay. That'll preach. That's a whole nother that's another thing right there too. And hopefully we can get back to that today, but actually that deserves a podcast episode all by itself. But yes, she's absolutely right. He wants to. He's waiting to help us with those things. And like she said, it wouldn't have been a financial hardship. It wasn't a bad thing. But here's the thing, though. What we have to remember, our minds are finite, meaning we can only see what we can see, right? In some situations, we may be able to see a week ahead, a month ahead, a year ahead. But even then, it's written in pencil, okay? Because we're not in charge of other people. We're not in charge of other circumstances. We're not in charge of other things, So many things can happen, but it's written in pencil. God, our Father God, is the Alpha and the Omega. He knows the end from the beginning. Okay? And so when she prays a simple prayer like that, it's not she gets a peace by it because He sees the end result. She doesn't see it. All she knows is, this looks like a good product. I think this will really work for me. Okay? Because that's all she knows, right? She hasn't tried it before. She may not even know the company. She may not know anything about it. But by God knowing the end of this, of how this whole thing will end for her, whether it be good or bad or somewhere in between, He knows more. He may say, no, don't do it, Sherry. Don't do it. And it could simply be she may have a reaction to it. Okay? That she may not even know. Or something like that. He is our wisdom. He is our teacher. He is our comforter. He is our guider. And He lets us know those things, And so by Him being able to see the end from the beginning, that gives us such peace because we're not relying on what we think we can see or what we think we know. We can only hope that the product, for instance, if it was a product that the product will do what it says it will do. And chances are it might, but we don't know how we may even react to that product or how our body would react to that product or even if it will be a success. But God knows if it'll be a waste of money. And when you give God first and you want to be good stewards of your money, He's going to bless that. He's going to bless that. And He wouldn't want you to waste your money on something that's not going to be effective. And also, He could have better plans and another product somewhere else. That'll be perfect for you. So I'm saying all of that to say, when you put God first, it's not a chore. It's not some type of religious thing per se that you want, religious routine or something like that you do. It's basically surrendering your will and just saying, God, you know what, I really, really want this and I really think it's going to help me, but what do you think? It's just asking Him and inviting Him into the situation. And you can never go wrong by listening to God. I'm sorry, Sherry, I didn't mean to go on that far.
Oh, no, I'm so glad you did. And then I want to piggyback on that when we surrender and when we ask God's wisdom and ask God's advice for these little things, because honestly, this is a little thing in my life, like big hairy deal. Do I buy this product or don't I buy this product? I'm not going to lose sleep over it no matter what choice I make. But by asking God for His wisdom on these little things, it grows our muscles and so not just it grows our muscles, but it also gives us that the positive reinforcement that we get by hearing Him for the little things that we then in turn think of, want to, and desire to ask Him for the bigger things, the life-changing things, like a marriage. Who would we marry? Our career. Should I leave this job? Should I go to another job? Should I move? Should I stay in my house? Should I move across the state? Should I stay in the state that I'm in? And when we practice that regularly in our own lives, then it's our job as parents to instill that in our children. And just the other day, my son and he was invited to a birthday party and we needed to go buy a present. And so he's like, oh, Mom, I just don't know what to do. He likes X, Y, and Z, and I just don't know what to do. And so we were standing at the bookstore, and we saw two different books. That's right, because I had to think about this for a second. We saw two different books, and both of them would have been good choices. But I thought this is a perfect time to teach him to hear God's voice, to ask God, to surrender to God, to start to learn how to make God first and put God into every area of his life. So I said to him, okay, I want you to pray about it. I want you to ask God to give you a piece and to show you which one you're supposed to buy, or we're supposed to buy. So while he was praying his own prayer, I myself was praying in my own head, going, God, this is a perfect opportunity if you want to. Obviously, you're God. I'm not. I'm asking. I'm not demanding. But would you please show up and give him a piece, make this a positive experience for him, and show him that you listen to the little things as well as the big things. So he prayed. I prayed. When we got done praying, he's like, I can't remember now exactly what happened, but I turned because he had moved down the aisle. And when I turned, I saw a different book that we had already looked at the shelves like 3 times. And I saw a different book, and it was the perfect book, not one of the 2 choices that we had originally found. So I pulled it up and I said, hey, what about this one? And his eyes lit up and he goes, that's the one. And I said, what do we need to do right now? And he said, thank Jesus. So we thanked him right then and there that he not only answered the prayer in a very real and powerful way, but he led us to the exact book that had been there all along that we had overlooked and wouldn't have even bought. And that just fills me with joy, because if we can learn from the little things, the product that I might buy or not buy, if you want to know, email me and I'll tell you if I bought it or not. Or the perfect birthday present for your friend. When we do those things, then God blesses that. And then he helps us with the bigger things. And I'm not saying that he won't help us with the bigger things if we forget to ask him for the little things. How did we start out this whole entire episode, Kara? Grace. God gives us grace. He doesn't care
Yes.
that we mess up. He knows we're going to mess up. The point is that we keep coming back to him. The point is that we keep trying. The point is that we keep asking him and keep putting him first and keep surrendering. And I have to say, during that struggle that I had in the fall of 2021, there were times when I forgot. Like, I would in the morning say, God, I surrender my life to you. God, you know that my life is surrendered to you. But yet questions would come up, and I would get job opportunities, and I would get this and that and the other, and I would just give a quick answer and move on. And then I was like, what did I do? I forgot to ask God. How do I forget to ask God? I've been a Christian since I was 6. What is my problem? So, I mean, it happens to the best of us. And God, while he wants to be invited into everything, and he can't necessarily bless the choices that we make if we don't invite him in first, he's not angry when he knows our heart, and he knows that it's not a deliberate, hey God, I don't want you in my life. Get out. I don't want you anywhere around this decision. It's all mine. It's not yours. But when we just honestly are on that treadmill that we're like, I don't have time to go to the bathroom. I don't have time to think. I don't have time to eat. I don't have time to pray. We all know that that's not true. That's just the enemy trying to get to us. But he knows our hearts, and that's the important part. So he gives us grace. So I guess I just wanted to leave people with that when you start with the little things, then it makes our trust build. And then when we go to him for the big things, we can hear his voice easier. We can just invite him in. And when we invite him in, life just goes better. It's not easy by any means. Being a Christian, being a Christ follower is not easy, but it's so worth it. And I wouldn't want it any other way.
And, I just wanted to add something to what you were saying and tie it back to something you said earlier. You had mentioned, you had given the story of the runner. And it's when you first start running, well, for those who run, when you first start running, I know our bodies well enough to know that if you haven't ran before and you do a mile, you're in pain, either that day or the next day, because your muscles just weren't used to it. They absolutely were not used to it. They're like, hey, what the heck are you doing? Because we're not used to it. I'm not a runner, but I remember my first time getting on a horse, and it was, you get on and you think it's fine. You go for a ride. Everything's great. But, oh, my heavens, the next day, your whole body is out of whack because your body's just not used to being on a huge animal like that. And your muscles and everything hurt. But the more you do it, the more you ride, the more you run, the more the further you can go, because first you did a little bit here, and then your muscles got used to it, and you start growing. Then you go a little bit more, and then your muscles get used to it. And so, like with anything like that, your muscles grow. Your physical muscles either get used to it, adapt to it, or they grow and or get bigger. And it's the same thing when we put God first in the little bitty things. Like she was mentioning when she was in the store with her son, in the little bitty things. So then it'd be super easy by the time it's one of those big decisions. Oh, my heavens, Lord, I am in love with this guy. He seems the world. He asked me to marry him. What should I do? It'll automatically come because your spiritual muscles are so used to it at that point that you do it automatically. Because you've been doing it for so long, and the little things that when the big issues come up, then you know exactly what to do. You don't even begin to think about it. And, when you think about it, why wouldn't we ask God to come first? I mean, for instance, if someone was to invite me to dinner or something like that, and I'm like, okay, I can't just say yes because I'm going to consult my husband first. I will never accept an invitation without consulting him first and seeing if he's available, if he's okay with it, if he had other plans, and he would do the same thing for me. He would give me that courtesy, is what I'm trying to say. That courtesy of saying, hey, let me check my wife, and, it sounds good, but let me check with her, and then, I'll get back to you. And we do that as a courtesy to each other. So then why wouldn't we do it with God? Why wouldn't we do it with God? He just wants that courtesy and say, hey, you want to check with me? just kind of see if everything's okay, if that's something that, that we want to do or anything like that. And then when you do it, it just builds up your spiritual discernment muscles, your discernment muscles. And discernment is that, I'm just really feeling in my spirit that I'm not supposed to accept that invitation. I don't know why. I can't even give you an explanation, but I really don't think I should, speak at this particular event, attend that particular conference, teach this particular seminar, go to that particular wedding, travel to that particular business event. You start building it up to the point to where it starts acting on its own. And I just wanted to just give those examples to emphasize what Sherry was saying.
I love it, Kara. I love it. So my question to you listeners today is, in what area, this is your challenge for today, for this week, what area, and they always say when you start running or when you start a new habit or start a whatever, you should start slowly and build on it. So one thing this week, just one thing, in what one area can you start putting God first? That's my question, my challenge to you. You can do it by fasting. You can do it by dedicating your life to Him, your house to Him, your year to Him. You can do it by starting to tithe. You can do it by starting your morning praying before you get out of bed. You can do it by starting a devotional, reading one chapter a day from the Bible. So many different ways that you can start living a life that is surrendered to God. And like I said, just start one thing. So my challenge is not just for one thing for a week. My challenge is one thing for the month of January. Get that one thing and pray about it. Ask God, here's your bonus, your extra credit. Ask God what He wants the one thing to be. Because when we ask with a sincere heart, God will answer. He truly will. So start with one thing and do it for just the month of January. And if you forget a couple days, that's okay. That's where grace comes in. If if you're not in the habit yet and it just doesn't come naturally, that's okay. That's where grace comes in. At the end of the month of January, if you've done it 10 times out of 31 days, you have succeeded. If you've done it 20 times or 5 times, that's 5 more times than you would have done it without even trying. So there's my encouragement for you guys today. John 16:33 says, "These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." What a better promise to start our new season, our new year with, that yes, there are always going to be tribulations and trials that we have to deal with. But never fear, because God has overcome the world. Jesus came to give us peace. And when we ask Him, we can have that peace for ourselves. If you want to visit Kara's website and go see what she's doing, go to KARARHUNT.com. If you want to check out my website, I have a new book on there, book 4 of the Redemption of Green Pine series. It's been out for a couple months now. You can head over to CHERISWALWELL.com. If you need prayer or encouragement, drop us an email at cheeruppodcast@gmail.com. And you know what? Maybe one of the ways that you're going to give God His first for this year is to join our Facebook group at the Cheer Up Podcast. We're building a community over there. We love to encourage people. Maybe you'll find your prayer partner. Maybe you'll find your new best friend. Maybe you two will, whoever you connect with, will decide, hey, let's read the Bible together this year, or let's pray together this year, or whatever it is. But head on over to the Facebook group, Cheer Up Podcast. We have had so much fun celebrating the beginning of the year with you guys today, and I really hope that you'll come back next week, because we're going to talk about blessings journals. And if you've heard me talk about them before, you seriously do not want to miss next week, because I have a whole new layer to add into the Blessings Journal in 2022 that I am so excited to share with you. I hope you can hear my excitement over the radio waves, or whatever this is, the podcast waves, but I am so excited. I cannot wait to share it with you. So come back next week. We can't wait to talk to you again. Have a great rest of this week and Happy New Year.